how do we practice sunning? It's very simple. So let's imagine that the sun is in front of me. So I would, or you would, look towards the sun, and the more you are looking directly to the sun, the better, with your eyes closed, of course, yes? And if you look at the sun with your eyes closed, you're going to receive and sense and feel immediately the warmth of the rays of the sun. And it's a very, very amazing, and yeah, the feeling is really, really, really nice. So you let the sensation go into your eyes and you savor it, you enjoy it. And then it's also good to move very gently your head. When you move your head towards the right shoulder, towards the left shoulder, what's happening is that the rays, the most direct rays of the sun, are going to touch different angles of your eyes and of your retina, and to stimulate, to relax, and to nourish different parts of your eyes and of your retina. You can also look down and up. And in this way, you are maximizing the effect of the sunlight and the warmth of the sun rays on your eyes. Yeah, this already is creating also a little difference of light and shadow. So when you're looking directly, they get the most light, and when you look to the side, the pupils are going to more of a shadow. Yeah, so very slowly, your pupils are doing this movement. They're opening when they're in the shadow, and they're closing when they're looking directly at the sun. So when you're doing sunning, you're also exercising your pupil and your iris. The colored part of the eye, the iris, that's what makes us have brown or black or blue or green or gray eyes. That's also a muscle. It's also a sphincter in your eye. And in the center, we have this black dot that we call the pupil, that it's actually a hole. And the iris, what it's doing is that when there is little light, it opens so that we get more light, like the diaphragm of a camera, of a photo camera. And when there's more light, the iris will close because we don't need so much light. There's enough light to see, and all these photosensitive cells, the cones and the les connais, les bâtonnets, I have French again in my mouth, all these photosensitive cells, they are already activated even with when there's a lot of light. Yeah, so it's also very good with sunning to increase the stimulation for the iris to open and close, because the more your iris is able to do this movement, the more you avoid glaucoma, because the pressure inside of your eyes, the intraocular pressure regulates. The iris opening and closing pumps the excess of aqueous humor in your eyes, so that prevents glaucoma, that regulates glaucoma. And also, the more your iris has the capacity to make a small pupil, the more you are able to focus with sharpness. If you take one text, the same text, and you look at it at home, even with all your lights on, and you go to the sun on a sunny day and you look at it, you will see much, much better. And the reason why you see much better is that your pupil is more closed. And this creates the stenopeic effect that makes you to see much better. And we're going to talk about it more in a minute. But let's keep talking about how to practice sunning and more variations to help the iris open and close. So once that you're looking at the sun with your eyes closed, so you've been moving your head towards your left and your right shoulder, and now you can do another variation that I absolutely adore, that is the inner kaleidoscope. How do you do it? You look at the sun with your eyes closed, and you open your hands with your fingers very, very widely open. You put them very close to your nose, and you move your fingers in different ways in front of your closed eyelids. And that is going to create a complete variation of colors and shapes that are going to be very beautiful to watch. And in the meantime that you're watching, amazed of all these changing colors and shapes, well, there's lots of things going on in your eyes. Your retina is being stimulated, it's being nourished, and because there's a change of the intensity of light, your iris is opening and closing. So that's getting training and gymnastics for your iris to function very well. Another variation that you can do, this you can do with your eyes open, is that you put a paper between you between you and the sun, yeah? And you put the print upside down. In this way, you're not tempted to read what's there because the point is not reading. The point is just creating a contrast between black and white. So you put this paper in front of you, between you and the sun, and with your eyes open, you move the paper in front of you. We call this shading because it creates shades and shadow and light. And then this contrast between the black and white in the paper is what is going to create this contrast between light and darkness. So your pupil is also going to be opening and closing. And it's good to practice all three of them because, well, it works a little bit different when you're just with your eyelids closed, moving your head, or you're doing the inner kaleidoscope, or you're practicing the shading with the paper between you and the sun. So all these practices are extremely good for your retina, they're extremely good for your iris and your pupil, and they will help you to focus much, much better. Is there a limit to sunning? Well, I would like to give you a point of reference that is going to be very, very useful for all of us. And this point of reference is important because some of you may live in Scandinavia and some of you may live in Ecuador, and the intensity of the sun is not the same. And some of you may have free time in the morning, and some of you may have free time in midday. So depending of where you are in the planet Earth, how north, how south, how to the equator you are, and depending of the time of the day, I would recommend different amounts of times. But there is one rule that works for everyone, and that is stay in the sun as long as it feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable anymore, well, that's the time to go to the shadow, to stop doing it, yeah? And if you are in the winter and it's early in the morning or later in the day, maybe you feel like staying for an hour in the sun, and that's perfectly fine. But maybe if you're in summer in Ecuador in the middle of the day, well, you go out 2 minutes and you already want to go indoors because it's too hot. Okay, so that's a very good rule of thumb that you can use. Now, given this rule of thumb that is very important, that is, I would say, the most important guideline, and I'll add a second layer to that before I go into like more objective measures. Another layer that is very important about paying attention to your own comfort is that in the beginning, you may want to practice sunning just for 1 minute or 2, because your eyes are still sensitive, they're not yet used to the light, and that's what they can take at that moment. But if you keep practicing day after day for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe you will be able to increase the time that you can do sunning. And if you respect the adjustments of your body, well, yeah, then you can make no mistake. You're going to be all right. Whereas if you would start like directly 15 minutes, if you haven't been doing it for a while, it could be too much. It could be too much in the beginning, yeah? So it's better to do it progressively and to pay lots of attention to what your own sensations are and what feels comfortable for you in the present moment. Another day, something else may be relevant even for you. But so this being said, relatively ideal amount of time would be to do it between 10 to 15 minutes. Again, 10 to 15 minutes is just a reference point, but your own comfort is even more important. If you are stressed or if you are bored, well, maybe it's good to make it shorter, yeah? And it's fine. Another thing is that even if you do sunning for 1 minute, for 2 minutes, you're going to see the difference. And even if you practice 1 minute here, 3 minutes there, 5 minutes there, you're going to see the difference. So for me, it's more important that you do it frequently than the fact of doing it for a long time. Do sunning as frequently as you can, like use breaks to go in the sun, go outside. If you're waiting for the bus, maybe you can find situations in your daily life that you can use for sunning, or if you're in the not in the driver's seat, but next to the driver's seat, you can like roll your window and be in the sun. I mean, there's probably many situations that you could use to do some sunning without even having to take special time from your schedule. If we live in rainy places, cloudy places, can we do sunning? Yes, we can. The thing is, as I said a moment earlier, you should never except for sunrise and sunset, you should never look at the sun with your naked eyes directly open. But when there's clouds, when it's cloudy, when it's rainy, you can look at the clouds and you can look at the sky with your eyes open. When the clouds are white, the darker the clouds, the less you will notice this, but if the clouds are white, then the reflection of the light is very strong. So you will want to blink a lot. So you look towards where the sun is or near the sun. The sun is covered by clouds. So you're going to be blinking, to want to blink, because that will regulate the amount of light that gets into your eyes, and that will make the reflection be more comfortable to handle. Now, when you blink a lot while looking at the clouds, this will also encourage segregation of larms. No, so that is French, of tears, les larmes, pardon, of tears. And that is going to be very helpful also. So you have two in one, the blinking plus the clouding, the sunning with clouds.